Welcome everyone to another episode of the LANCESCURV show. We have a dear sister here, and I'm going to explain what the exact story is, but our sister Carmen R. Johnson, PhD, and we had a little conversation just a few moments before the show. Yeah, it took a few extra minutes. I thought I sent the link, but everything is up and running right now. This is a sister that I have a lot of respect for. It's a very strong sister. And I'm going to just jump off and read what was sent to me. A couple of paragraphs, but it's not that super duper long. But I think it's important that we understand that even when this show goes in the can and is floating around out there for the next couple of years, that we make no mistake as to what the situation is. For the past 5 years, Carmen R. Johnson, PhD, has been fighting for exoneration by judges in the courts. She has gone all the way to the Supreme Court with no remedy, and she is now back in the appellate court, continuing to seek justice as of August 24th, 2020, which we know that is passed. Carmen stated, even though I'm still fighting in their courts, I do not see a remedy for me. I understand the difference between exoneration and a pardon. Based on Article 72, I am asking the president, look into my case and grant me a full pardon. Only the courts can decide to exonerate me, and I have no faith in that system. I am not asking for forgiveness. However, I am asking the President of the United States for justice by way of a full pardon. For over 20 years, Carmen had been a successful businesswoman in Maryland. She ran a for-profit business that offered credit restoration, debt negotiations, household budgeting, preparation for bankruptcy, and did loans by paying off people's debts. She reported these loans and services to the credit agencies. The nonprofit taught financial literacy to the youth. She sat on countless organization boards with one role as housing chair of the Maryland State Conference, NAACP. Carmen was investigating foreclosures that ravaged through the Black community after the financial crisis of 2009. In her campaigns, she requested for a moratorium on those illegal foreclosures, and she even drafted bills involving lost notes. She received countless phone calls from power brokers in Maryland to stop this narrative. She was ordered to announce publicly that there were no illegal foreclosures in Maryland, and she refused. In March of 2011, her home and businesses were raided. However, when she talked to the prosecutor, she was told that no laws, statutes, or codes were broken, and she was relieved. In July of 2014, men with guns appeared at her home in the early morning. They seized all her tax-paid assets and called them substitute assets. They told her that she was not cooperating, and they took her to jail. She was indicted on 24 counts of mortgage, bank, and wire fraud, along with 14 other people. She only recognized 2 real estate agents, and she had not seen them in over 7 years. She did business with mostly real estate agents, mortgage companies, and major banks for years by offering the client services and paying off their debts. Carmen was a victim, as those banks, mortgage, and title companies were, but they were not implemented. Not even the real estate companies those 2 realtors worked for. Her attorneys tried to use coercion, force, and intimidation to obtain compliance with the 3rd Assistant State Attorney and take a plea. Even after suffering a nervous breakdown, Carmen refused to take a plea. In 2015, she went to trial, and the jury appeared to be a blue ribbon jury, and she was unjustly found guilty on all 24 counts. She served 44 months in a West Virginia prison work camp as she fought her case by going all the way to the Supreme Court with no remedy. She came home in 2018 and is now serving 5 years probation and paying $2 million in restitution payments on crimes she did not commit nor benefit from. Carmen suffers from extreme PTSD with daily nightmares of the raids, trial, and prison, but she is still trying to endure by continuing to fight for herself and for others by working with grassroots organizations on mentorship, the injustice system, and police brutality. Carmen's attorney has recently filed a writ of error coram nobis, I hope I pronounced that right, and she is back in the appeals court. Carmen's family has assisted her by starting a new nonprofit called Helping Ourselves to Transform, which deals with the needs of returning citizens, educating the public on mass incarceration and the injustice going through the legal system. After all that, Carmen is still giving back to the community. Carmen was a victim and is vehemently innocent. Please show your solidarity by signing her petition, asking the President of the United States for a full pardon and gain her freedom back from an injustice system. I hope I did justice by your reading. I think I may have pronounced a word or two wrong, but the point is made, my dear sister. And I want to say that you've gone through so much. And I don't know, you definitely have a mission on this planet. We know how the system is, but you have tasted this thing firsthand. Let me just ask you, like, you're having this life. You're having this life and you're involved, and all of a sudden, your life is changed in a snap of a finger, and you're arrested, and all these things come flooding in on you in your life, and accusations and all this stuff. What was this like when you were first arrested? I mean, just take the time and take us through this thing, because this is the foundation.
Well, first of all, I was in total denial of what was going on with me. But the most important thing to me was saving these Black families whose homes was being taken by illegal foreclosures. So even though I was going through being followed by the bank investigators, being followed by the feds, it was still, my first mission was to these Black families that they were destroying and that they were tearing up. Because here in America, the rumor is Black men don't marry Black women. Black men make babies with Black women, but they don't have homes together. Well, these were Black families. These were husbands and wives with children. And these foreclosures was affecting that family structure. And that was the most important thing to me. Even though I secretly went through the trials and the hurts and the pains of what I was going through, I still was going on the news talking about the illegal foreclosures. At that time, it mattered, my life mattered, but the mission that I was on mattered more. I was personally terrified because they were white men that was after me. The NAACP wasn't doing very much to protect me. I thought that I was isolated and insulated because at that particular time they had over 4.5 million members, and they are a powerful organization where all they had to do was tell the white man to leave our person alone, but they chose not to do that. So I went through my personal experience of the feds and all of that. I went through that process alone. I did not tell very many people that this was going on with me. I was raided 3 separate times. They raided my home twice. They raided my business once. I knew that there had to be a terrible mistake And I knew that I was innocent. So whatever they was looking for, I was confident that they wasn't going to find anything, because I've always been a successful businesswoman. Business was always important to me. My community was always important to me. My reputation was always important to me. My spirituality is always important to me. So when they first rated me, I just knew that it's a mistake. It's going to work itself out. And me being a scholar of metaphysics and science of the mind and mental science and all of that stuff, I just knew that it would work itself out. But it kept moving forward, because I kept moving forward with trying to get a moratorium to freeze the foreclosures in the state of Maryland. And I even got phone calls from some of the most powerful white men in Maryland personally, telling me to go back on the news to say that there were no foreclosure issues in the state of Maryland. I even received phone calls from powerful white men asking me what did I want. And I couldn't understand, because I was so green. I didn't understand back then what that meant. My answer to him on several different occasions was, I want you guys to leave my people alone. Find out why these illegal foreclosures are happening. Set up a commission to investigate these foreclosures. And I want to be on that commission, on that board. But he kept calling, asking me, what did I want? I later found out what that meant. And a lot of people of color that look like you and I, that are in positions to help our people, they sell our people out. I'm not that person. And there's no way in the world that I could sell my people out. I just couldn't do it. My main concern was the fact that they were destroying Black families, Black homes. These illegal foreclosures was running through the Black communities. It was horrible. These Black families were put in subprime mortgages, and a lot of these families had 700 and 800 credit scores back then, which were great scores. They didn't need to be in subprime mortgages. I mean, it was just a horrible experience to see. And then to finally face racism, that was something that I never experienced before. To get phone calls in the middle of the night, being called the N-word, and being followed by white men. I would watch them taking pictures of me. It was a scary thing. The problem is, when I looked around, it was no one. I didn't have no cover. I didn't have any protection, and I thought that I had the NAACP, and I did not. I didn't. It was too late. But I kept going. I kept fighting for those illegal foreclosures to stop. They did do a moratorium. I never got to see it, because they arrested me at trial and sent me to jail immediately. I wasn't given the benevolence to handle my personal affairs. I wasn't given the benevolence to handle my business affairs. They arrested me immediately. They called me a terrorist. They called me ISIS. They said that I was a threat to the county of Prince George's County. I was a threat to the state of Maryland, and they had to get me off the streets immediately. So it blew my mind. To this day, I still feel hurt, because I love the state of Maryland. But now I live in Washington, D.C. I just can't live in Maryland right now. So I guess I'm ready for the next question. Lance. I guess I can move on to how I felt when they arrested me, and how that first night felt, being in a jail cell, a teeny, stinky, dirty metal room. And I remember falling to the ground and praying to God, why, did he let this happen to me? And I remember hearing in my heart God telling me that you're the only one that can deal with this. And I remember just screaming and crying and yelling in that jail cell, deal with what? Deal with what? I stayed at DC jail. They took me to DC jail, and I was there for 5.5 months. I found out that it was court ordered for me to stay in solitary confinement for 4 months until after the sentencing. They was trying to give me 30 years. Then they got it down to 10 and a half years. And then they finally sentenced me to 5.5 years. And I was absolutely devastated. A lot of people came and spoke on my character, in which at trial, I was told by the judge that I could not speak on who I was, the work that I've done, my activism, my humanitarian work, the foreclosures in the state of Maryland. It was a long list that I was not allowed to speak on at trial. But at sentencing, it was so many people that came in to speak on my character. And not to mention, my judge is a Black judge, a young judge, a brother that went to Morehouse, and his grandfather was an activist. So for him to see this happen to me and understood what they were doing to me, he allowed it to happen to me as well. So after they tried to diesel me, dieseling is when they send you from jail to jail around the United States. And what that does is it takes you through an emotional breakdown. By the time I got to the 5th jail, my sisters and my attorneys were trying to locate me. My sisters had fired the Maryland attorneys and hired some Florida attorneys because they didn't trust Maryland or DC attorneys. So they were trying to locate me while the feds were dieseling me. And finally, at the 5th jail, I was able to call my sister to let her know where I was. And then that's when my attorneys contacted the marshals and told the marshals that if they didn't get me to my destination, that they was going to go public and they was going to sue. So they finally got me to Alderson Federal Prison Camp. Whereas when I got there, I didn't know my name. I couldn't remember how I got there. I did not know where I was. I did not know why I was there. For days, I wandered around. I was told that I wandered around the compound, walking up to people, asking them, have they seen the sun? So I was labeled as the crazy woman on the compound. I was mistreated grossly at Alderson Federal Prison Camp. This is the same place that Martha Stewart was at. This is the same place that in the 40s, Billie Holiday went to. And when I think about Billie Holiday, I think about the Lady Sings the Blues movie. And there's a scene in there where Diana Ross is on the floor with a straitjacket on. and Billy D. Williams come in to assist. And she was at Alderson Federal Prison Camp. And in her autobiography, she talked about the abuse that she went through there. And I found it so odd because the same abuse is still happening in 2018 when I left. The abuse of women of color and other women, but mainly women of color, that was being exposed to lack of medical care, no mental health treatment. I was even thrown in solitary confinement while I was there for 5.5 days. First of all, I wasn't aware that in jail, prisons, camps, they do not like activists. And in 2015, a lot of activists were being thrown in jail and prisons, and they were being killed. So they do not like activists. They do not like people that maintain their innocence. And where I was, they were highly racist. So I had 3 strikes against me. I even experienced being drug on the floor by guards and strangled with a scarf, as about 20 other guards watched. I've never been a woman to experience abuse from a man, physical abuse from a man. So for that to happen to me, it was very scary because they choked me to the point that I passed out. Another occasion, they put me on a top bunk bed under a T5 hot fluorescent light that stayed on 24 hours a day. And I kept telling them that the light was hot and it felt like a microwave. And it burnt my forehead. And I still have the marks on my forehead. I have makeup on now, but the marks are still on my forehead where they burnt me with those T5 lights. It got to the point where I started writing to my sisters everything that was going on, and they started sending my letters to everyone in Congress and everyone in the Senate. And I was able to gain my senses after going through abuse. I filed in West Virginia courthouse the abuse that I was going through, but also the abuse that the other women were going through. There was women that was dying around us and not knowing at that time, but they had like $75,000 to $80,000 life insurance on each of us. So they wasn't trying to treat anyone with medical care. They really wanted you to die to get the life insurance policy. But I started filing in the West Virginia courthouse, and my sister started getting the word to Congress and the Senate. The fraud that they was doing inside that prison camp was horrible. Women that had degrees, they would force them to take the GED tests for other inmates. Of course, medical fraud was going on. There was so much fraud that was going on, and all of that was being documented and sent to Congress and the Senate and to the West Virginia courts. And in my lawsuit, which I talk a little bit about on my website, I had about 21 of guards, staff, the captain, the warden, who subjected me to abuse and also subjected the other women to abuse. I also have letters on my website from other women on the abuse they saw that I went through, and also abuse that they were going through as well. I have a makeshift petition that I smuggled out of there to get to Congress and to the Senate as well. After my Congress and the Senate got tired of my sisters contacting them, the place was raided by the feds. And pretty much after that, people stopped calling me the crazy woman, and they realized that I wasn't crazy and that I was a strong ADOS, Indigenous American woman, fighting for my life and fighting for their lives as well. I left that prison camp with the help of 2 Congress people and a senator, where they got me out of there sooner than later. Due to the fact I went all the way to the Supreme Court with no remedy, and I was emphatical that I was going to win, and I did not. After that, they were able to pull me out. I came home October 18th, 2018, and I couldn't function for almost a year. I just couldn't pull myself together. I'm still afraid of police officers. I'm afraid of white men with glasses on or sunshades on. I think they're feds. I'm afraid of Black men with suits on. They remind me of the NAACP. I don't like leaving my apartment here in DC. If I do, I have to prepare myself for that. In the last few months, I've gotten some of my voice back and my power back, and several different grassroots organizations have asked me to be their consultant in activism, abolitionists, mass liberations, participatory defense, post-convictions, and things of that. So lately, I've been doing help with that. I've been receiving letters from women in different jails and men that are in different jails and prisons. And I've been sending those letters to people in Congress and the Senate, and to the federal prison system, and also to the state prison system, and been trying to help as much as I can, because I understand what's it like being behind those walls. And granted, I was in a prison camp. I wasn't behind bars or a wall or no gates, no guns. It wasn't anything like that. So if I went through that type of abuse, I can imagine what the men and women that are actually in prisons are actually going through, and my heart goes out to them. My mission today and moving forward is to get the President of the United States, whether it's Trump or whether it's Biden, to investigate my case and grant me a pardon. I am not asking for forgiveness because I done nothing wrong. I'm asking for them to investigate the case. The only thing that the president can do is remove me from this probation that I'm under, remove me from this restitution that I did not financially benefit from, nor did I do the crime to financially benefit from, and to get my money back that they took from me, and they called it substitute assets. So basically, they took my money, so I wasn't able to get adequate legal attorneys that understood the mortgage industry and understood the credit industry. So they tied my hands. I also want to share that it's not just poor Black people or poor people that are going to jails and prisons. It's successful people that are going to jails and prisons. And we're seeing more and more women of color that are going to prison. And another thing is the reason why the feds have a 98% conviction rate is not because they are winning, it's because they are forcing people to take pleas for crimes they did not commit. And because of fear, my people are taking pleas for things that they did not do, or they may have broke a statute or code not knowingly, and then they get football numbers, 20 years in prison. Something needs to be done about that 1994 criminal bill that was passed by President Clinton. Something needs to be done with that Prison Litigation Reform Act bill that President Clinton put together that ties inmate hands together, and it makes it difficult for them to report abuse, report fraud, report things that are going on inside the prison. We keep coming up with what the Second Chance Act and the First Step Act, but it's not doing anything because the main womb is that 1994 crime bill that President Clinton put together. My goal is to tell my story and to plead to my people to not take a plea for something they did not do. I refused to take that plea. I had 4 offers. The last plea was for 10 and a half years for a crime that I did not commit. And I think about it every morning that if I had taken the plea because I was afraid, because of fear, because I was afraid of the white man, I would be still sitting in jail today. So my goal is to have my people understand that they must stand up for themselves. They must know that their Black lives do matter. And they have to understand that we have a deep pain that's embedded in our DNA that go back generation after generation of the oppression and the suppression that they've done to us. And we have to fight through it. And we have to stand up for ourselves. So, Lance, are you there? I hope that my story will help people that look like me and look like you, and that we are a powerful race, and the power is inside of us, and we have to believe in ourselves, and we have to stand up for ourselves, and we have to protect one another. And if I had to do it all over again with the housing movement and trying to stop those illegal foreclosures, and if I knew that it would have cost me my life, there's nothing that I would have done differently, because I saved over 800 and something families from these illegal foreclosures. So I'm not sure what else to say. So I don't see a chat or anything, so can't hear any questions but I feel your hearts, and I hope you feel mine. Don't know where Lance went to. I hope that you sign my petition and pass my petition on. And I hope that you keep me in my prayers, because I'm about to go up against Goliath once again. And this time I understand their system, their injustice system, the injustices that they're doing to my people. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to die for the cause and the love of my people. They threw everything at me at once, including the kitchen sink. So the only thing that's left that they can do to me is kill me. And the prison system is a dangerous business, and it's a money-making business. And once again, I'm messing with their bag, just like the foreclosures. It was a money business. The county was making money from those illegal foreclosures. The state was making money from those illegal foreclosures. The feds were making money from those illegal foreclosures. They were packaging up those promissory notes, and they was trading them on Wall Street. So everyone was making money off of my people in those illegal foreclosures. So that was my fight then. There's still foreclosures going on now. There are still evictions that are going on now to my people because of COVID. And no one seems to be doing anything about that. No one seems to be talking about that. But it's still happening today. But my concern, my mission today is to expose the fact that people are protesting and marching on defund the police. Well, it runs deeper than defunding the police. It goes all the way to the Department of Justice. And I'm not the only one. I can't be the only one that this happened to. What happens is when people come out of these prisons and these jails, they don't want to talk about it. They just want to move on with their lives. And even when I first came home in 2018, I didn't want to talk about it. I just couldn't stomach it. I couldn't handle it. And even when my attorney sent me the writ of error quorum nobis for me to review August of this year, I couldn't get past page 2. And so my sisters had to read the motion that was filed in Virginia Appeals Court. They had to read it and they had to approve it. And this writ of error quorum nobis is when you are emphatically are innocent and you're pointing out all the errors that happen in the courtroom. It's a motion that's very, very old, and not many attorneys use it. It's almost like an ancient Chinese secret. However, I tell people all the time that I wish that I was in jail for a crime versus a handshake and a phone call. And I would like for you to also look at, it's a show, a 2-part series that came on Showtime. And it's called the Comey Rule, COMEY Rule, RULE. Several key players that's in that series are part of the spiritual execution of my life. And I'm in the process of writing a book now, which we should be finished March 2021. and I will be listing out all the key players, all those powerful men that came after me. And these are facts. And when my sister told me to watch the Comey Rule, I was just shocked because at least 4 of the people in that series, 2-part series, was part of my demise and the hit on my life and throwing me in prison. So I just hope that we can all come together and realize that there are power in numbers, and we have to wake up and we have to stay woke. And 2 people I wanted to see when I first came home, and I kept thinking about it while I was at that prison camp, and it was Dick Gregory and also Frances Westling. And Dr. Frances Westling, her and I met a few years ago. And well, a few years ago before I was arrested, and they was trying to take her home. And I was in the process of trying to assist her with that. And she passed away when I was at that prison camp. And Dick Gregory was another man that I wanted to see when I got home. And of course, he passed. And I was told that his last words were, "Stay woke." So I'm asking my people, the men and the women, to wake up and stay woke. And we're living under an illusion that the white man is all powerful. It's an illusion. It's a fear that's embedded in us based on the lies of their history books that they have on us and on them. So we were taught that they are the greatest, and they are not. And you have to be willing to stand up for something. You have to be willing to die for something. And I was willing to die for those Black families and those illegal foreclosures. I was willing to die to not take a plea for something I didn't do, to lie on myself and say I did something and take a plea. And I'm willing to die to tell who did what to me and how they did it. I'm willing to die for it. I want to live a long life, like Martin Luther King said, but I have a daughter, I have a granddaughter, I have friends, I have family. I have to be an example for them. And we have to be an example for one another. And if we don't have each other, we don't have anything. And it's powerful and unfortunate that the George Floyds and the Miss Breonna Taylors and the list go on had to die the way that they did. Is horrible. But we who are walking around with air in our bodies, we need to speak out. We need to speak out for the injustice. We need to speak out for reparations of what they've done to our people from generation after generation. But we're going through abuse today too. They said that Biden once made a comment. Biden once made a comment about he'd be damned if he paid reparation for something that his ancestors did. Well, we're still going through abuse today. So forget the past. Reparations of what they're doing to us now.
Dr. Carmen, let me just interject.
We
have our yes, you are so professional. I have to say that. You are so professional. You just kept on going with it. I'm happy about that. I'm not even on the camera that I'm on. I mean, the exact second that you started to talk, everything went out. That means that this is meant to be, because even, we know how things go, but it's not stopping you. So I'm not going to interrupt you. If it happens again, which it just happens maybe like once every 2 weeks, why at that exact second? But that's to show your grit, your fortitude, and your spirit that you just kept on swinging. So keep on doing it. I didn't do this on purpose. It just happened. I'm sweating because I was out in the rain. It poured down. A couple things happened, but I'm good. I'm going to remove myself, but I'm here. I'm just going to let it be where you're the only one on the screen, and just keep on going. Don't stop. I'm here.
Can I take questions or anything like that?
Well, yeah. I was going to ask you some questions. Let me just remove myself off of the screen and let it be you.
You still sweating, by the way.
This is what happened. In actuality, and you can still hear me, correct?
Yeah. Can I say something?
Sure.
I forgot to say, please let your wife know that I love her.
Oh, definitely.
I think that she's so amazing. I love her. I absolutely love her. Just to let her know that.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much. Everybody, will pretty much, I'll just say this. I'm all alone today. Everybody went up into the mountains. They went to meet with a chief and look at the land and do some things. And I was going to go, but of course, we have this show. And I also had to finish up some architectural stuff, some plans and blueprints. So, I wouldn't miss this for anything in the world. So that's why I'm here. So they went up, but I feel good because I'm here with you. And it's pouring down raining. And as I look up at the mountain, the clouds, I mean, it looks like it's something really going on up there. So I'm like, phew, at least I'm here. But the power outage is something that that will happen every now and then. And it'll do that for 10 or 15 minutes every week and a half, 2 weeks. So it is what it is. And I'm seeing some of the comments, they're saying you're amazing. I know that. And like I said, as far as the questions, let me mess around here because everything just came back on. It was like, wow, I already asked about the experience, about what it was like to be first arrested, and I didn't get a chance to hear that. And I don't know how far along you went, but with that being said, after I read what I read, do you feel that this is something where it happened just to be where you were involved with these people who may have been real estate agents? You didn't know most of these people indicted or called into this thing anyway, but they chose you. Do you feel you were targeted, or was it just that you were in the wrong place at the wrong time?
The feds slid me into a real case of 14 foreigners that was doing things that I'm not aware of. Like I said, in my website, my company did business with all the major banks, with all the mortgage companies, and mostly real estate agents. So yes. I didn't have any reason to think that these two real estate agents were doing anything. But unfortunately, 14 of them were, and they all 14 took a plea. So they slid me into a real case. And I had something called a blue ribbon jury because I said, I'm not taking no plea. I want a jury trial. But I was not aware that there is something called a blue ribbon jury. A blue ribbon jury consists of retired Fed agents, retired federal government workers, retired police officers, and they have them sitting to the side waiting for special cases. But you don't know that. You're thinking that you are picking the jury with your attorney, but you don't know we already got somebody set aside to bust you in the head at this trial. Like, most people just don't know that. And I learned that. Well, the first thing is I'm a very spiritual person. I'm a practicing Buddhist. I study metaphysics, science of the mind, mental science, and all of that stuff. One thing is I could tell, and I'm getting ready to make a point, I could tell when it was Fed agents following me because I could not hear their heartbeat, which means they are trained agents. They're trained to control their emotions, their feelings, and all of that stuff. And I could tell when there were bank investigators following me, because I could literally hear their heartbeat. I could hear them thinking about what they're going to eat for lunch and about their girlfriend and their wives and all of that kind of stuff. Well, at my trial, I kept saying to myself, I can't hear these people's heartbeat. And they would never look at me. They looked at the prosecutor, they looked back at the judge. They looked at the prosecutor, they looked back at the judge. I said, something is wrong here. So anyway, in 2017, I took the paralegal course while I was at that prison camp. And then I got certified in that. And then I took advanced studies paralegal. That's when it was in the advanced studies where they talked about the blue ribbon jury and why they had a blue ribbon jury set to the side. That's when I said, bingo, I had a blue ribbon jury, which consists of retired Fed agents, retired federal workers, and all of that kind of stuff. And I knew at trial I could not connect with them. I could not hear their heartbeats. So I just got off track, but I just wanted to just say that, which is very important. And another thing that I learned going all the way to the Supreme Court and back, what's worse than taking a plea, which I do not want none of my people to take a plea, is having a jury trial. Because in the Supreme Court ruling, they said, even though she really didn't have anything to do with this, and is in their paperwork, but a jury of her peers found her guilty, which we know emphatically they wasn't a jury of my peers. It was a blue ribbon jury. So people also have to understand that. The other thing that I want to bring up, just like how when I was little, we would read the Bible together as a family, and we would have family talks and laughs and stuff like that as a family. But what needs to be added in family time is studying criminal law. We need to start teaching our children about criminal law. We need to teach our children about to not talk to the police, to not talk to the investigators, to not talk to the detectives, to not talk to the prosecutors, to not talk to them unless you have counsel. That is like so important to understand, because when this happened to me, I didn't have a reason to think about criminal law or anything like that. You know, if I got pulled over by the police, I knew the police, I knew the sheriff, I knew the captain, like I knew these people, you know. So now I know it doesn't matter what you grow up to be as a adult, indigenous American person. We have to study criminal law. And we also have to understand that these attorneys are no good. I know I've heard of 3 good attorneys. And I never met them. The first one was Johnny Cochran. The second one was Kim Kardashian's daddy. And the third one was the attorney that represented Angela Davis. Those are the only 3. And me personally, I had 4 different attorneys. And they all started out with, we can beat this case. This is ridiculous. This is some buffoonery. And then next thing I know, each one at each time was trying to force me to take a plea for something I did not do. So, Lance, are you still there? So, hopefully you guys could start, you know, maybe connecting with a law student to assist with studies in criminal law.
I was muted. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I muted myself through the module, and I muted myself on the screen, and I did that because you can hear that steamy sound behind me, and that's the rain pouring down. It is really fast.
I can't see you though.
Okay. Oh, you want to
Yeah.
see me? Okay. Okay. Here we go. I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm still here. But it's more important to see you because, you know, it's good that people can look at you, vibe, and everything, and feel what you're feeling. You're imparting your experience, and it's not just words. When we communicate, it's looking at you, hearing the tone of your voice. It's all those things, and that's what I wanted folks to focus on because they all know about it. But the need for prison reform, do you feel that there's a real need for that?
There is a need for prison reform, but what I said before, we need to go back to that 1994 crime bill that was set up by President Clinton. That's what that's where the bleeding starts in our generation, is that bill right there. We must go back and remove that bill and not put band-aids on that bill. Band-aids that they are putting on top of that bill is not helping my people. So that actual bill need to be looked at, and then that's something that I plan to do as well. And you know, prison reform is needed, but it's a huge money-making machine. It affects our families because our family have to send us commissary. A tube of toothpaste they get from the dollar store, they charge us $10 for it.
That's crazy.
You know, it's hard to get feminine supplies, which is expensive in there. I mean, everything
and necessary.
Yeah, everything's expensive, and they are making money. And in a lot of prisons, they use prisoners to make furniture and all kinds of items, which they sell, and the prisoner is only getting pennies on the dollar. It's really a slavery. Is today's slavery, and that's what it is.
Been that way for a while. Yeah, it's been that way for a while too. Yeah.
And I don't see any candidate really talking about, presidential candidate really talking about, really going into that it's something needs to be done about it. I didn't even hear Obama talk about it. So.
Well, many would ask, they would say, why are you seeking a pardon from the president? Is it Trump per se, or whoever holds the office? And you know, many would say, especially now with this guy in office, why are you doing this? I mean, that's a no-brainer question, but I'll throw it out here because we're going to get some people in the comment section. They're going to ask all kind of things and not have any kind of information. Yes, the windows are closed, then we'll have to open them up. Looks like the storm is over and I'm sweating bullets over here. So continue talking, I'll be right back.
Okay, I'm asking the President of the United States, the commanding officer, whether it's Trump, whether it's Biden, it doesn't matter to me. But I'm asking them most importantly to look into my case, because I've paid the money and gone all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is very expensive to go to. And I'm not going to get any remedy because the handshake that they did on me go all the way to the top. It goes all the way to the Supreme Court. So now I'm publicly asking the president, whether it's Trump, whether it's Biden, when I get to that point, to investigate my case. And then based on Articles 72, he cannot vindicate me. He cannot exonerate me, but he can remove me from this probation they have me on, which is called low risk probation, but it's still prison, even though I'm home. He can stop the restitution of this $2 million that they got me paying that I had nothing to do with, nor that I financially benefit from. And number 3, I was a successful businesswoman. They seized my bank accounts and they called it substitute assets. Substitute assets mean this money has nothing to do with a crime, but we're going to take this money anyway. Well, that's illegal. They don't supposed to do that. But they did that. But they did it so they can tie my hands so I couldn't get an adequate team to represent me. So it's not, I'm not asking the president for forgiveness because I have nothing to ask for forgiveness for. I'm asking him to investigate my case, to look into my case, and then under Article 72, pardon me to the fullest. That's what I'm asking for.
Wow. You know, and many people that have their opinion on that. I don't know whether it's me echoing over here, but it's all right though. It's not that bad. But that experience, I know it could be something that they love to kind of draw you out, drain your resources financially, drain your spirit. And it's like, do you feel, and this is not a defeatist question, but you're putting your story out there, people are hearing it, people are seeing it, and that's elevating you. Do you feel the powers that be would ever give you a good shot at restoring what was taken? Do you really feel so? I mean, because I don't personally, and maybe it doesn't matter, but I have no, I won't even use the word faith because I don't use that word anymore. But I don't feel with a system that is not made for those who look like me and others get caught in it too. That's why I'm here. I'm gone. I want to live a good life. I want to live a full life, a good shot. Do you feel in the United States the way we know the system to be to really get a fair shot at being exonerated? Or is this a sacrificial thing where you're using your situation to put it even out there even more? Because Pookie and Ray Ray, who don't have any money or any standing or even held a job because they may have been hustling, and people say, they're nothing anyway, but you're a woman of standing, you're accomplished. Like I said before, I admire you and look up to you. But do you feel that you're going to get what you say you want?
Again, as a practicing Buddhist and a scholar of metaphysics, science of the mind, and mental science, whatever the universe decides, for the last year and a half, I've been fighting the universe. And every day it was in my head, Carmen, it's time, you got to do this. And I did not want to go public. I wanted to be like a lot of our people that just want to just get on with their lives and just not talk about it. But that echo from the universe kept getting louder and louder and louder and louder until I had to move. I had to do something with this energy that's around me. Now, in no means am I begging the white man for anything, but I have a right as an indigenous American woman, an American woman of color, to tell what they did. Now, Trump or Biden don't have to look into my case. I'm okay with it. And I'm not going to be a fool and go back to the Supreme Court and pay money and go back to the Supreme Court. I'm not going to keep playing that game either. But I am going to keep telling my story. I'm going to keep telling my story, and I'm going to keep trying to wake my people up and keep them woke. So I'm not going to beg them for anything. I'm going to expose what they did and what they're doing. I have the heart to do that. But I also understand this is Goliath. I get it. But I'm not afraid. I can't operate in that vibration and that frequency.
Now, I just took a look at the chat room and they say the microphone's a little off. As long as you can hear me clear, I'm good. But what I want to say is that, you know, you're here to tell your story. And you're explaining things that you've been through. We don't seek validation from anyone anymore. Not that we did in the beginning, but if there was anyone around us that sought validation, they should not. The system already has told us and let us know what it's all about. So we're not going to get caught up in this one or that one, like you just said. There seems to be something going on in the chat room. Like I said, we know already, and we understand our sense of spirituality. We have elevated over the years. We have incrementally made ourselves better as African people over the whole planet, wherever we are, indigenous too. And we carry a vibration. There's a sense of knowing. Sister Carmen, this is, or rather Dr. Carmen.
Sister Carmen is great.
Yes, and I love you very much. This is the first time I'm looking into your eyes, face to face, as far as the electronic means are concerned. I can download so much about you, as well as you can download so much about me, and I was quite shocked that you loved the show long before I had a chance to talk to you. You recorded some things that I said. But we have, in our melanin, a means of communicating without using words, a glance. We download the spiritual waves that we give off. Anybody doesn't understand that, we're not here to explain. We know who we are. And you say that you're practicing Buddhist. I have no problem with that, because you are coming onto that spiritual highway through a particular entrance where I may have come in one way, but we are all one. So I read you loud and clear. And you can say that maybe tomorrow it's another way, which is still my system. Somewhere along the line, we are family. And we are family, but I mean, somewhere along the line going back, 6 degrees of separation or less, we're family. And this is what makes us a mighty people. There is no fairness in the system. For us, we don't look for it, but like Sister Carmen said, she's going to keep on telling the story. Regardless as to what the judges say on the scorecards for the fight, and we got 15 rounds and we're in the 6th, and I know they may not dig me too tough, it's not going to stop me from throwing punches. I just want to say that. Just like you had the wherewithal to stay on the show when I got cut off and I'm back. I'm going to ask you a few more questions. We're just going to keep on flowing because that's what we do. And I love this flow that you're giving. For what you have done as far as a pardon and telling the story, friends, professional friends and colleagues, personal friends, people who hear your story who you just met, what is the feedback that you get? Do you get the people who say, listen, keep going, sister, I'm with you? Do you get other people who say, oh, I don't know, you may not ever, it's going to exhaust you financially, you might be doing this for the rest of your life? Give us some examples of what some of the feedback has been on your journey in this, because you are very crucial and you're doing, this is history right now. We look back in the 60s and the 40s, right now in 2020, we are creating our history. And we need to know that there is no disconnect from the momentum that we had coming here on these ships, or whether we were here before. We're not here to argue about that. We know that no matter what, those in the system don't say, oh, you're Buddhist, I'm not going to shoot you. See, you weren't physically shot with a bullet, but you've been shot up. It touched you that way. And for some who caught the bullet in their leg or whatever, it may have been a little easier. What the emotional, the mental, the years that you had to deal with this. And look how beautiful you are, sister. I know you have scars that you're healing from, but this must scare the heck out of them. For you to be there like the ghost they think they saw, but you're no ghost, you're very much real. What's the feedback been like? Have you had family members give up, or people close to you give up? Tell us about that, sister.
My family, my close family, that's, my immediate family, we've had the conversation, my parents, my sisters, my brother, my daughter. So they understand that I'm willing to die for this.
Good.
So they are praying, because my mother is a Pentecostal Christian, so she's praying, and they send in love. And then the next level of my family, which are my aunts and cousins and all of them, they are praying, they are supportive. I've had some people tell me, this is not going to work. You should just get on with your life and just forget about it. I can't do that. I had a reason. When I was in that prison camp, I'm coming back around. I was in that prison camp, and it's a book that I read by a Jewish person his name is Viktor Frankl, and he was in a concentration camp. And the name of his book is The Meaning of Life, Man's Meaning to Life, or something like that. And I read that book over and over again. So the point that I'm trying to make to people who tell me I need to just get on with my life and don't say nothing and don't worry about it, there was a meaning to why this happened, and it had nothing to do with the crime. I'm in search of the meaning to my life, the purpose. And I'm starting to understand that I am my brother and my sister, my people's keeper. Like, I have to tell people what my experience was so they won't make mistakes that I made, so they can be prepared. Like Malcolm X said, understand those people, the white man's language, so when they come knocking at your door, now we can have a dialogue. Well, I thought I understood their language, but I realized I didn't. Now today they come knocking on my door, now we can have a conversation. Now we can have a dialogue, but that's a very important, what Malcolm X said, to study them, to study them, so you can know how to deal with them. So, but I'm getting people, they are, the petition just went out like 2 weeks ago or something like that. So we're getting people that are signing. I did get somebody that responded back to me laughing my butt off. And I'm like, Carmen, keep moving. That's just a troll. Just keep moving. And I just got to keep going. My mind is made up. The universe is controlling my every, and I don't like the word control, but is operating through me. Is moving through me. The ancestors are moving through me. So I don't have a choice in this matter.
You're where you should be.
Right.
You're where you should be. And this is your mission. And of course, many of us would say, oh man, she had to go through that. What kind of mission is that? You had to go through this stuff to be where you are now. And there's a victory in this. There's a victory in this, whether it looks like a victory or not in the upcoming time, because I know that I've been through so much and I'm not even supposed to be here if I used the mediocre mind that most people have. But you understand you're part of a bigger picture. You're not just a useless husk or a useless piece. There's meaning to this. And I used the example in the show before, where that one little gear behind the faceplate of that beautiful watch that keeps that watch going is very crucial, because if you remove that one little tiny gear, that if you drop it on the floor, you won't be able to see it if you cut all the lights on. If you remove that little tiny part, I'm not saying tiny like you're minuscule, you're very powerful and important. This is because of what's going to be. This is because of what's going to be. Whether if in this particular lifespan that we're on this plane, it doesn't seem to come to fruition. There may be somebody who sees this video or reads a book or an article and it gives them strength. But we know that it won't be that long. We know, and you know, and I know you know, and I know I sound like Ralph Crampton. You know that I know, but their time is coming near. And you're here for a reason. You've been preserved. Because I know half of those folks, prosecutors and judges and lawyers, and this system that's against you, have not maintained as well as you have, and you're maintained for a reason. Believe that. Know that. Forget believing. Know it. Know it for sure. Yes. What would you tell others on how to avoid a traumatic experience like this from happening to them. I mean, I feel if certain things are going to happen, it's going to happen to a point. But I know we have a say-so in it. What is it that you can tell someone to help them avoid these traumatic, or not just avoid, but prepare for it? Talk to me on that, sister.
The first thing that comes to my mind, and it'll circle back around, it was a movie, and I'm probably telling my age now. It was a movie in the late 60s or early 70s called
Black Don't Crack.
The
Black
Spook.
Don't Crack.
But the name of the movie was The Spook Who Sat by the Door. Are you familiar with that movie?
Oh, yes, I am. I'm LANCESCURV. I have to be.
One of my favorite movies. And basically, to make a long story short, we have a lot of people in power that look like you and I. You know what I'm saying? That are our people. But they're not doing what they're supposed to do. The spook who sat by the door he got into their system, and he used that system to educate the Black community on how to protect themselves and how to protect their families. And whoever has not seen the movie, especially if it's a young person on here that's in college and later in life is going to get a big position, I recommend you look at The Spook Who Sat by the Door. We need more spooks who sat by the door. Obama wasn't, and anybody can get mad with me and hang up now. Obama wasn't the spook who sat by the door. And the list can go on and on and on. We need to be able to get into their system to help our people. Or let's go even further. Tell them, F them, and let's create our own system. When you think about the Chinese, they got their own system going on. You think about the Jews, they got their own system going on. When you think about the Amish, they got their own system going on. When you think about the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, they got their own system going on. We can say we don't want to vote for none of y'all characters. We want to create our own. You white folks got to come through us to get to our people. You know what I'm saying? It is. Those are two ways to assist with not allowing something like this to happen. But as of today, since we don't have that many spooks who sat by the door and we don't have our own system set up, we have to again study criminal law because we can't stay out their way because of the way we look. You know, our brothers, our men are getting pulled over for nothing, just walking down the street. So there's no way to avoid it. We in combat. We just have to start preparing. We have to be prepared for when something like that happens and have people on speed dial that look like us that know emphatically gonna help us. And all those politicians and all those people I had on speed dial, nobody was trying to help me at that time. But now I know what I need to do to help myself.
Beautiful. I know there's some sound issues. Understand that we're building our SCURV video studios right now as we speak. This is a temporary setup in the corner of this empty room, so it's not going to sound perfect. My real heavy Breakfast Club style mics are on a 40-foot container in the Atlantic Ocean right now, taking 5 weeks to come over. So this is makeshift. As long as we hear what Dr. Carmen has to say, this sound is not going to sound perfect. This mic, like I said, I'll show it to you. It's a Sennheiser, right? Mm-hmm. And this is not even made for this purpose. The acoustics in this room are terrible. Okay, it's going to be echoey, it's going to be all of that. It's the message that we want to hear. Because for this time that we have with her, the message has to be put out. Wow. When you were, and again, I'm talkative, I think you know that. I think you know I do lengthy shows. So when you're ready to wrap it down, you let me know. And again, because Unfortunately, I got cut off because of the power outage. I missed out. I'm going to have to go back and watch some of the show that bears my name. I want you back. I want you back. You know what I mean? The Jacksons, I want you back. I want you back on the show. You know, on lockdown, were there others? Of course, there were. But what kind of stories did you hear from others? Did you get a chance to talk to others? Possibly not in the beginning because it's a whole new environment. But what did you come out of that feeling about lockdown? Because I've worked in that capacity. It was just a job for me, and I got along quite well with those who didn't have uniforms, and those who had uniforms that didn't dig me too tough because I was fair and I love my people. But share some of the experience in there, if you can. You might not want to, but if you can.
I want to be as transparent as possible, and I want to be as honest as possible. And I want my sisters to listen to what I'm getting ready to say. It's very important. You know, after the first year of me getting my marbles back, and, you know, it took me like a year to be able to function again. I mean, that first year, I thought that I was Christian. I remembered that. I knew I wasn't an animal. I knew I wasn't a criminal. I knew I wasn't a child. But I remembered being a Christian because I grew up in Christianity. So I remembered that I was a spiritual being. Some of the experiences I had was really, really odd. And the reason why I say that is because I was at a place where it was Black women and white women. And it was mostly white women, but it was about 150 of us sisters that were there. Well, the sisters that looked like me and looked like you sisters out there were the ones who started the rumor of me being crazy. That's number one. And I still love my sisters and I forgive them. The next thing, what I heard was when those 20-something guards were dragging me on the floor and strangling me and all of that. The guards ordered all the women to their cubes because we had like little individual cubes. We didn't have cells, we had like little cubes. It was 3 or 4 white women that would not go to their cubes. And they were saying, is what I hear, that we're not moving. We see what you're doing to her. We're not moving. We're watching what you're doing to her. We're not moving. It shouldn't have been white women that was doing that. It should have been my sisters that looked like me and looked like you that was there to say, we're taking note. We're watching what you're doing to this woman. It was other instances because, again, I was in a racist place and I had never experienced racism until this whole feds thing. I never was afraid of the white man until all of this had happened to me. It was different times where I had to go to the old white women to help me get out of some lies or bull crap that the guards were trying to do to mess my record up so I can get out. And they had to come to my defense. Now I'm pro-Black all the way, 101%. But I'm just saying, it was those women that had to come to my rescue every time. And to this day, I still feel that pain. That pain is what I feel, is that pain. And we women of color, we have to stick together. And I think all my women, and I'm not gay and I'm not knocking nobody for being gay. That's not what I'm saying. Whether you light, dark, skinny, fat, tall, short, I love y'all. And I think we are beautiful. We are the mothers of the earth. We are the mothers of the universe. They need our cells to survive. Those white MFs need us to survive.
Yes.
They need our DNA to survive. They need our stem cells to survive. So we have to love one another. We have to do something to come together as sisters. We have to love one another. We have to feel each other's pain. Not to mention, we have to demand protection from our brothers, and we have to protect our brothers. I come from South Carolina. I believe the man is head of the household. I believe that. I believe in the beautiful Black man, whether he light, dark, tall, short, skinny, fat. I believe in respecting that brother, that man, that man. So that's all I have to say about my experience with that.
Beautiful. It's the same thing when I add in too, because people say, well, why would you end up in a job like that? When I came from New York City down to Orlando, Florida, there weren't many jobs that paid well. Now, it's not a matter of, well, I'm just going to do this job. When I did the job, I did it like a real brother would. I was fair. And I saw a lot of unfairness there. And I wasn't going to just turn my eyes from things that I saw. I didn't lie just to keep a paycheck. There were so many in there that I could not believe at first when I met who were officers. And I don't care, there are many of them who still sneak a peek on the show and want me to say something so-called politically or correct. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to say everybody in there was crooked, but most kept their mouths shut for a daggone paycheck. And the ones who opened their mouths and spoke out on what was right, they didn't last long. That's why I didn't last long. Did a couple years in there in other facilities and whatnot, but it's the same spiritual stench across the board. And I'm not saying there are people who are in there so-called incarcerated who didn't do anything. I'm not saying everybody's innocent, but there are a lot of innocent brothers and sisters in there, and we know the system is aggressive, like a piranha coming after a piece of meat to get us in there to keep that financial thing going on in this so-called system. So yes, when they saw my old website, this is before YouTube came around, before it was in existence. I used to write and draw. This is your interview, but I want to say something about that. When they saw my expressions online, they fired me for feeding one who was incarcerated an extra tray of food. But it wasn't that. People were bringing in chicken and pizza. People were bringing in drugs. I worked around a bunch of people in the rec crew that were being investigated by the FBI that were in there, and nobody said nothing to me or touched me in that investigation because I was clean. See, I know about that. The Metropolitan Bureau of Investigation investigated me for several months after I was fired, even before, to see if I had any connection with the Nation of Islam, 12 Hebrew Israelites, Rastafarians, 5%ers, go on and on and on and on and on, Black Panthers. And it's funny because growing up in New York City, I knew people in all of these groups and organizations. And they were not bad people, they were good people who were for their people, who came in the movement in that particular way, but we're all brothers and sisters. And now they're saying to themselves, look at it, damn it. Look what he's doing. He's talking to all those different groups anyway. They watch me so hard. They were gonna try to set me up to get arrested, but I look like a monk, right? I live like a monk up on top of the hill, even to this day, not because I'm afraid, but I know my steps are measured and I know that my steps are protected as long as I do what I'm supposed to do for my mission. And that's what I want to say. Your steps are protected because of what you have to do at this particular time in your mission. No matter how formidable the opposition seems to try to scare you, if the lightning's not going to strike you, it's not going to strike you. So you don't have to walk through the storm scared, afraid that you're going to get struck by every little thing. Continue to walk fearless, continue to walk strong. And we know that we have so many out here who are coons or Negropeans. They don't like me. I know they're going to give us a few thumbs down. I know they're going to try to get the channel taken down. But whether my feet are planted in the soil of the motherland, Africa, or in America, or Jamaica, or wherever I am, I'm not going to stop talking the way I do, and I know you're not going to stop talking the way you do, and I know there are other people who may not have the notoriety by being as visible, and they're not going to stop talking the way they do, and that's what we have to do. But the main thing we have to do is unify our voice and connect. Let's stop arguing over this way. Okay, we may honor the universe a certain way. We don't know what has influenced us. Look at how they do us. It's too late for this kind of game, y'all. This is my sister here. If I went up in some white establishment and said, this is my sister right here. Look how, I mean, we don't look alike. We all don't look alike, but there's something common that we have. In the chat room here, as we have seen, and we need to act on that. We need to stop looking for differences. And really and truly, I'm in a good mood today, but I'm gonna say this. I curse all of those who came against you, that could have helped you, and who sat by your side and didn't do a damn thing, knowing good and darn well what was happening every step of the way. I don't wish anything good on them, only the bad. Let them get the bad. We don't turn cheeks here. I want you to get your just due. And sister, I want you to get your just due, and you will. Because if you look at nature and study nature, we know that the universe is perfectly balanced. What goes up must come down. You take water away from a certain area and it has a certain level below, it's gonna come back. It may not be on our time, but it's coming back. And you have the universe behind you. All that came before you and all that are coming after you. It's a cycle of life. And I know you're going to see and become exonerated. You're exonerated to me. You never did anything as far as I'm concerned. You're my sister. It's that system that's coming down. I don't care about no Republican. I don't care about no Democrat. I don't care about no independent. Them two groups are two wings on the same plane in a system that serves people that don't look like us. So for them to be up, we got to be kept down. And once we know that, like it said in the chat room, we need to build our own. Step out of the system. I still despise the system in America and all over the world, even though my feet are in African soil, I can fight from a different angle. Do you keep your hands up and stand in front of the opponent? Sometimes you got to step to the side, boom, hit him with some body blows. Different perspectives. I can talk a little crazier over here. We got agents over here. We got the secret handshake boys over here. I'm not stupid, but I have a little more leeway. And now we're really going to fight hard. Sister, I want to continue. I'm not stopping. We're going to keep going. I just want to say, I want to make this regular. If it's once a month or once a week and just 10 minutes, or you want to come on and talk about something else, or, we're just going to keep going. I'm here. What do I have to do? I'm retired. I'm in Africa. I'm chilling, but I'm working hard. So don't think that, I want to say something as an addendum to what is going on with me, but I see Lance is busy. I don't want to bother him. Please bother me. It's not bothering me. This is what I'm put here to do. The floor sweeper's over there. You feel something. Don't apologize. This is what I'm supposed to do. You keep me in the job, right?
Right.
I tend to go off like that sometimes. Talk to me.
No, I totally listen. I've been a subscriber of your show for a very long time, and so I certainly respect you and your mission. I respect your audience and all the other beautiful guests that you've had on, and I think that it's just a great show. So I'll be signing off in about 4 minutes. I consult with an organization called Life After Release, and do court watch. So I have about 20 Howard Law students that work with me, that are under me, and I've seen over 1,700 court cases in Maryland, Prince George's County, and there are bond hearings. And so we're collecting data on the race, the age, the gender, the area that they live in, the alleged crimes that they've done. So we've been collecting this data so we can go public with how they are keeping our people in jail and not giving them bonds and not releasing them on things that are absolutely stupid. We're keeping track of how police officers are their charges and things of that nature. So at 12 o'clock, I have to prepare to meet with my Howard Law students. So that's what I've been doing also, trying to collect the data and the proof that in 2020, this is what you guys are still doing to my people, you know? So,
Yes.
but
So,
be back.
of course, and with what you're doing, let's do shows on that. Let's just do shows on that.
I would
You
love to
know,
do.
if you can, I know certain things are not to be put out in the public, and certain things can be. You use your judgment with that. As long as you have a cell phone, maybe a little stand. If you don't have one, get one. You know, a little tripod stand that you can put the phone in, and you have your gatherings, your meetings. You know, you can, if you want to put it out there, I can make a nice little banner just for that. You know, it's my little generic banner, right? And put it up there and put it out there to the masses if you want, right? And I'll have your email address and everything scroll down and whatever have you. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. Some days I wake up, I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do today. I don't have any schedule. And at the end of the day, I did 5 shows. You know what I mean? So I'm like a fireman that way. I'm a servant and I'm your servant. Never forget that. And don't insult me by not calling me to say, Lance, I need you. You know, because I'm gonna be bugging you. And I want to thank you for you spending your time and sharing your story. It's a lot of hurt in there, but you have a lot more strength in you. And that's what we need to see. And no matter what, when we are in a fight, and I'll say this one more thing before we go, when a car accident is about to happen, we find out what we are on the inside. We have 2 kinds of people. We have the first kind of person that says, uh-oh, there's going to be an accident. They take their hands off the wheel and they hide their face. They hide themselves, oh. You have the other person who feels the same impulse and they don't want it to happen. Who does? But they keep their eyes on the collision that's about to happen and they turn the wheel or do what they have to do to minimize the impact. That's the kind of person you are. You could have punked out. I know there are nights that as a human you would shed tears, because I know I would. And I've shed tears for many who I wasn't in their situation, but I felt what they were going through. But don't ever feel like you're alone. You're not alone. And I know that you know that you're not alone. But if ever, pick up the phone and call me. You want to vibe with everybody here? Just out of nowhere, hey, Lance, I want to talk to people. I got something on my heart. Hit me up. Hit me up. I'm here for you, sister. Dr. Carmen Johnson, PhD. We're proud of you. We back you. That's right. Peace for each other. But you know what? War for those who bring the war on us. That's right.
All right.
Thank you so much, my sister.
Love your audience. Love your wife. And I would love to be back on soon. Thank you.
Whenever you wish. Thank you so much. All right. Peace out. That was wonderful. And I know she had to attend to her group. And yes, we did have, and I know the sound might not be sounding right. I'm doing everything. I got a lamp in front of me. Usually I have my professional lights, the studio, the stripes and everything to set up. It's going to be like this for a little while, okay? My stuff is being shipped over from America, the entire contents of the studio. And even when I get it, I'm not in the studio yet. I'm building that right now. It's going to be a couple of months, but it's going to be acoustically perfect. It'll be for podcasting and live streaming and the Breakfast Club style shows and all of that good stuff, and even more stuff that we're used to having. Taking my time. This is our life's work. This is what we do. And I want to continue to do what we do. Ali, thank you so much. Great interview. I'm sorry from the unfortunate power outage that we had, but a testimony to Dr. Carmen's professionalism. She kept on going. Just like in this fight, she's going to keep on going. That being said, we're going to come back. Now somebody's calling me. Where's his phone? It's like, wait a second. The minute I'm about to say something, I'm going to have to answer this bad boy right here. I'm sorry. Got no music. You'll be all over my business. Hold on. Hello? My brother. Yes, talk to me. Who am I speaking to? Yes. Well, you said hello. Do you remember me? I don't know who you are. You got to tell me who you are. Good. I've been looking for you, brother. We got to do business. As a matter of fact, so many people have called me from my trip last year. No, and I didn't, forget you. I got rid of a Facebook page and all of this stuff. I'm here in the motherland, as you probably know, and I want to connect with you within the next 2 or 3 days because we got some business to take care of. There's a lot of people who want to deal with what you have to offer. That being said, I'm on a live show right now, and give me a few minutes to wrap it up. And I got your number here. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's 506 is the last few digits on the number, correct? Okay. Oh, you're still there, right? Yeah, because they told me that they're going to think about moving it from there, because you're by close to the Kwame Nkrumah Center, correct, right? Okay, well, we're going to talk those details in a little while. Let me wrap up this live stream. I want to say a few more things, and I'm going to call you right back. Okay? My phone is on, but I'm going to call you back in about 10 minutes. Okay? All right, my brother. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Peace. Hey, I'm here with family. Got nothing to hide. If it was something I had to hide, I wouldn't take the call, but I don't have anything to hide. I'm completely transparent. That's the way it is. But like I said, the quality of everything will go up when I build the studio. I'll be coming after Anderson Cooper. I'm not saying that CNN is any good, but I'm just saying the quality of a professional broadcast and different things I'm going to invest in. Again, I'm thankful for all of the help and donations and help, but we're going to do this, and it's because of this. People say, well, you're doing this for hits and no, I'm doing this for stuff like this show today. If there's somebody out there that needs me or wants to put it out there more, where of course certain programs, certain platforms are not going to do it. Even some who look like us, who say that they would, put stuff out there, they got secret handshakes to adhere to, so they're not going to do it and go against their own. But my brothers, it's about the heart, and my sisters, it's about the heart. It's not about some group now that I can push my nose up and feel I have an advantage over anybody. I'm always going to keep my feet planted in the ground and always going to keep it placed on African soil, because I keep an African mind and always have, and never feared speaking. And I really appreciate Dr. Carmen Johnson so much. The strength in her face, the determination in her eyes. That's a true warrior right there. How many of us brothers, I'm not putting down the brothers, but how many of us would have punked out? We have to acknowledge that many of our sisters are true warriors who will lead the pack. And we can't be afraid to sometimes take orders from them when they see something that we don't. It doesn't matter what you have hanging between your legs, it's the spirit. And so I take my hat off, or my headphones off, to my sisters out here who are strong, and they don't have the acknowledgement of the outside world, because this world can be quite sexist. And within our culture, we got to stop that. Our women are very important. Our sisters are very important. Not just very important, crucial and mandatory and necessary and needed. Without them, we'll have no us. Now, how come the ceiling fan is acting? Do you all hear that knocking? It's always something today, but you know what? We did it and we made it. You see what I mean? Anyway, Miss Baby Powder, I miss you too. Oh, when's the last time I hugged you? It ain't the last, okay? It ain't the last. But I want to have you on also, Brother Holler. You let me know when you want to come on, and everybody else who is here, let me know. From the occasional power outage or whatever, we're going to take care of that. We're going to have generators. We're going to have the solar thing going on. So when we have shows, these things won't happen bad. But it all happens for a reason, everything. So I just want to say that I have some footage that I want to put up. Let me shut up now. Maybe I can get it up by 4 p.m. or maybe 5 p.m., give you a little time to get a break. Some more stuff from the market, really crowded stuff where you can feel like you're there. Some old Bangkok type feel like you're way out of the markets, and just to take you away. And then afterward, probably if this rain really stopped, it did stop, but it slowed down. It was a treacherous storm out there, but it was beautiful, I'm gonna take a walk down to the market, bring my cameras, of course. I don't know how I'm gonna run into, keep the work going. And when we come back tonight, later on, Sister Empress Ella G and myself will go in on that topic that we spoke on before we had this show. We're all swinging from the hip, but it's from the heart. So there's no rehearsal to do what it is we do because we live this and this is what we do. There is no game with this. So for some reason, my mouse is like working all funny, working all bipolar or whatnot. Thank you, Lucky Sinclair. And I know that, yes, Killer Brew, yes. Yeah, let's do that work. I haven't been looking at the Fu Manchu. I haven't been looking at the chat room. You know, I get off in my own little thing and whatnot. But I love all you more EBX. Yes, EBX cares. You know, that sounds like a medical thing, like a charitable. Oh, EBX cares. Donate to EBX. Anyway, I will be back. I'll show my face more, but it's nothing pretty. I was thinking about just painting some black with some yellow stripes like the good old days. We'll be coming back with that, y'all. We're coming back with that. Huh? What'd you say, Eric? I don't know. You answering somebody else back. I'm not even going to address that. I'll scroll up later just to figure out what that one's about. And yes, maybe tomorrow night, it was requested, maybe we can do a joke night. A nice light night where I might have to use a few words, tell a few stories, make some jokes. I'll tell some of the same old jokes, some new ones, but it's not jokes, it's live stories. Things I've experienced, which I've experienced a lot. And I'm going to get Scrooge Greedy, Killer Brewer, you want to get, you have a good way of communicating. I got to reach out to that brother. And there's so many, and excuse me if I haven't reached out or even taken the calls, not that I see it and refuse it, but I try to keep things moving. Ghana is laid back. Ghana is not slow. Some people can think, oh, it's slow. No, it's just laid back. And you sleep. When you sleep deep and you're thinking about sleep. When you're eating, like I said, you know, I ran out when I had the power outage and I got a freshly picked pineapple. There was a young lady with a big thing on her head, a freshly picked pineapple. She took the time and sliced it and cut it up and put the stick in, and she didn't even charge much for it. But the rain was coming down. I said, well, I want a pineapple, but I don't want to have to go all the way up to where the store is, you know, the market. So I got her, she was taking the time. I was like, she means well, but the storm is coming. I don't know if there's any lightning strikes gonna come. So she got it in time. Sister Ella G got through to me on the Ghana phone. You know, whatever it is, Ella G, I'll pay for it for you because I know it's gonna be like $1 million on your phone, right? And so the power came back on, and I was just so happy to know that Sister Carmen Johnson was still on the phone, that I wouldn't abandon the show like that. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, everything worked out fine. That's to show you, like I said earlier, you don't have to worry about anything, just show concern. And whatever Brother Holla says, you must listen to, because that brother's a powerful brother, and you need to listen to what he has to say. Let me know when you're ready, Brother Holla, to come on, man. It might be later on or tomorrow, whatever. I'm here. Help me out. Let's do some shows. I'm here. I mean, I got a lot of things to do also, but I'm here. So I'm going to call that brother that I spoke to. We're going to be offering some art pieces, the carvings, statues, all different price ranges, a direct connection that I have. You think I'm going to sit here and not get busy and give you all the hookup? They have places in the United States where they charge way too much for our own culture. And I'm going to be transparent with what we sell. I'll make a new page on the site, LANCESCURV.com. Go to the site sometime. I put everything that we do up on the site. Leave comments on the site. It's got to be about the site. YouTube can get mad and snatch the channel from under my feet. Always make sure, when in doubt, LANCESCURV.com. When in doubt, LANCESCURV.com, right? It's always going to be there. I want to thank my buddy in Dubai who keeps that site afloat. I want to thank everybody, Empress Ella G, Sister Angie Love, and all those who helped me, you know, keep this thing going with content or behind the scenes stuff. And I need you even more, because look, I wouldn't have been able to do this if it wasn't for Sister Empress Ella G today. Seriously, because she was on it. She called the other phone. I'm like, who's calling me on this phone? I don't get that many calls on that phone. You know, it's strange. But anyway, I'm going to sign off, and I'm going to put this footage up probably it's 3:57 for me right now. It means it's almost 12 noon for the East Coast. If I'm quick, I'll put it up for 12 noon, which I'm not. I'll probably put it up for 12:15 so you can see the market and see all the different things. And then when I say later on, I don't mean too much later on, but later on in the afternoon, in the evening, we're going to pop off some shows. I got some work here to do, and of course, some calls back to make. So anyway, Much love to you all. And let's throw a little fancy business up. My module is on its way. It may be here in 2 weeks where we can start playing music again. And oh boy, when I get that music back, we're gonna play some music. I got some new music and I gotta play it, but this doesn't do the audio. The other one down there is short. These people, man, they've been gagging me for money. You know what I mean? But anyway, it is what it is because it ain't gonna stop what we gotta do. Much love, everybody. LANCESCURV out. He's an Afro, he got white people working for him. Hypocrite. I'm working like slaves. Zero time. Like a truck. Sometimes you try to avoid things, move to the left, move to the right, back up, try to negotiate. You know what? Sometimes you gotta hold it with this. Step to the front and knock the crap out of somebody's zero. And right now, 2020, you ain't got no choice but to do that. And please, do not think it's running because I got on that plane and I got over here.